So let's look at some real-world best practices for all of our revenue managers and our property level managers out there. So yielding versus reporting could be very important. Let's take your Expedia rate codes, for example. You may want to report on all of your Expedia business in your OTA market segment. But then when you're managing your rate values, you may want to manage them on a length of stay or standalone or advanced purchase level, also known as rate code groups. So the better you can get at separating your yielding from the way you want to report, you can manage your market segments and your rate code groups differently. Our second item here would be double derivation. In the CRS, hopefully you have the capability of utilizing double derivation. This would be, let's say you have a bar rate and you have advanced purchase linked off of that bar rate. Now you have all of your advanced purchase rates for your OTAs. Formerly, you may have linked your OTA advanced purchases to your bar rate, calculating both the discount and the margin all into one. This functionality allows you to put your bar rate at the top, your public advanced purchase in the middle, and then link all of your OTA advanced purchases off of that advanced purchase rate code. In other words, two forms of derivation, but not making you make the calculation twice. In other words, all you have to take into account is your margin for that OTA. So if the technology piece makes sense, and the real-world practice is something that you could adopt, or if you're already doing it today, great. We now know that a reservation could be made. So when a reservation is made through any of your various channels, are you receiving it, and are you receiving all of the information? Oftentimes, there can be server errors. There can be endpoint URL issues. There can be timeouts. These items are no longer just for IT to be able to troubleshoot and review. This is real time. These are guests standing in front of your front desk. This is you at a large hotel having a massive amount of reservations coming in and not being able to reach out to someone else to get the fix. You need to know to fix it then and there. So depending on these errors, so first get familiar with your errors if you can view them, and then also make it a practice to loop in your PMS vendor and your CRS vendor anytime you do experience an error to make sure that the problem is being attacked by both sides and that you're not going to one or the other, which in some cases could be the wrong partner to go to in that given time. One of the most important parts of this section here is knowing how to resend reservations down. So when you do experience timeouts, when you do have failed reservations, and you have them in a queue in the CRS, do you know how to go in and push those down to the PMS system so that those guests can be checked in by your front desk? So now you've received your reservation successfully, and hopefully you are communicating with your guest pre-stay, before they arrive. They should be getting a confirmation email. If they change their stay, a modification email, and unfortunately if they cancel, hopefully you can send them a cancellation email as well. All of this functionality does exist in the CRS, but you may use an outside email service that integrates into your systems. So if this is the best practice that works for you, then great. Otherwise, do know that CRSs can offer this functionality, typically with some default options or maybe some more customizable options. So with communication, you want to make sure on a reservation you are getting that guest's best email. Maybe that even involves getting more information from them, sending them in the pre-stay email. Maybe you can embed a link to gain more information about that guest so you can customize their experience or simply give them a better experience when they're staying with you. The other item that is very key here are your profiles. Guest profiles are key to keep clean and to not have too many duplicates of. So when the CRS gets a reservation inbound and sends it down to your PMS, do you have a match and merge function or anything that can align a few fields on that reservation, honing in on, is this guest a repeat guest? Do we already have this guest in the system? And tying that person to an existing profile. This will more effectively let you target that guest in the future, because ultimately our goal is to retarget guests and bring them back to our internet booking engine or the channel that you deem is your most beneficial channel to receive a reservation through. So if you know your distribution landscape inside and out, how your interface works, what flows in what direction, your mapping table is clean and helps you for reporting purposes, for receiving reservations, even when that reservation doesn't come in, hopefully you have that default rate code set up and you can hone in on that right away. Hopefully these real-world best practices are either something you can adopt or something you do already today and you see benefit from. Once a reservation is made, know your errors if you're getting an error and know how to action it, looping in both sides of the conversation all at once so that the problem can be attacked. Communicate with your guests, goes without saying. So finally, homework. Hopefully you know all these things, but auditing reservations, auditing rate codes, auditing your mapping, all of those items are key. Maybe at a high level biannually, but certainly in a given day, have a look at a few reservations. Are they coming in as you would expect? And then another thing I would add here, as we are coming towards spring, do some spring cleaning. If I could spell cleaning. You always want to keep your systems as clean as can be. They are only going to output as good as you input. So keep your data clean. And ensure that your setups are good. You're deleting rate codes and anything that you may need to delete to keep everything clean. Thank you.